10 WWE wrestlers who clearly lost their physique when off roids. Wrestling has always been about larger-than-life characters, and sometimes that larger part wasn't just natural. Over the years, plenty of WWE superstars built jaw-dropping physiques, only for fans to later notice their sudden transformation once stricter testing and wellness policies came into play. Today, we're going to look at the story of 10 wrestlers who saw their muscle mass shrink dramatically once they stepped away from steroids. Let's start this countdown. Number 1. Scott Steiner. There was a time when Big Papa Pump looked like a real-life action figure. His arms were freakishly massive, his chest was exploding out of his singlet, and his nickname, the Genetic Freak, said it all. But once Steiner moved out of the spotlight and the WWE Wellness Program era kicked in, fans saw a very different version of him. The muscle shrank, the vascularity faded, and the once terrifying presence in the ring simply wasn't the same. Steiner himself once admitted, if you want to keep up in this business back then, you had to look the part, no matter what it took. That quote sums up how deeply steroids shaped an entire generation of wrestlers. Number 2. Lex Luger. In the early 90s, Lex was promoted as the total package. His build was one of the most polished, almost superhero-like physiques in wrestling history. But years after his run, especially when his health took a serious hit, Luger lost most of that size. Without the chemical edge, the transformation was shocking, from one of the biggest bodies in wrestling to a much smaller, thinner frame later in life. His health struggles told a darker story too. After a spinal stroke left him paralyzed for years, Luger reflected, "I lived for the body. I thought it would last forever. But I was wrong. Now I know the body is temporary." His words turned into a powerful reminder of what happens when the muscle fades. Number 3. Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham inspired Hulk Hogan and countless others with his incredible look. He was one of the first wrestlers to bring that bodybuilder shape into the ring. But when steroid testing got stricter and Graham's body couldn't handle the years of abuse, his muscles deflated drastically. Graham battled liver issues and hip replacements, and once said, "Steroids made me, and steroids destroyed me." Few wrestlers were as open about the cost of chasing that bodybuilder image. Number 4. Test. Andrew Test Martin had the tall frame and muscle mass that screamed WWE superstar. His run in the late 90s and early 2000s showed him with wide shoulders, big arms, and the look of a powerhouse. But after leaving the company and facing the impact of wellness restrictions, fans noticed that the size he once carried was gone. Behind the scenes, there were whispers about how the strict policies cut short the runs of many mid-card wrestlers like Test, who were often pushed because of their look but struggled when that look disappeared. Number 5. Chris Masters. When Chris Masters debuted as the Masterpiece, WWE marketed his body as his gimmick. His flexing entrance and sculpted body became his entire identity. But after the wellness program kicked in, Masters returned noticeably smaller, and fans didn't hold back from pointing out that the Masterpiece didn't look the same without the enhancements. Years later, Masters revealed he actually rebuilt his body through natural training, saying, "People thought I couldn't do it clean. I wanted to prove I could." His journey showed that not everyone faded away, some found a second chance. Number 6. The Ultimate Warrior. The Warrior was pure intensity, explosive promos, face paint, and a body that looked superhuman. In the late 80s and early 90s, he was one of the most jacked performers on TV. But years later, when Warrior reappeared at different events, his size was nowhere close to his prime. Age played its role, but without steroids, the drastic difference was clear. Warrior once described his early days bluntly, "It wasn't just about paint and energy. It was about size. You had to look invincible. Without the drugs, the invincible image couldn't last." Number 7. Hulk Hogan. The immortal Hulk Hogan was never just about charisma, his 24-inch pythons became legendary. But once the steroid scandals hit in the early 90s and Hogan admitted to using them in court, his body started to change. By the time fans saw him in WCW and later appearances, he was still big, but the overblown cartoon-like build was long gone. Hogan himself once admitted in an interview, "Everybody was doing it. Vince knew it. The boys knew it. It was part of the job." His confession in the courtroom was a turning point that forced WWE into wellness testing. Number 8. Road Warrior Hawk. The Road Warriors were one of the most intimidating tag teams in wrestling history. Hawk's body was a big part of that image, wide, muscular, and ripped. But later in his career, and especially after testing rules came in, Hawk's size visibly dropped. Behind the paint, Hawk also dealt with substance issues that caught up with him, and the difference in his appearance was just another reminder of how much the business had relied on steroids in that era. Number 9. Triple H. Fans often debate this one, but there's no denying that in the early 2000s, Triple H looked absolutely jacked. His reign as the Game saw him as one of the most muscular men in WWE. But after wellness testing started, and especially in his later years, Hunter leaned down. The difference between the ruthless aggression era physique and his current executive look is something fans point out all the time. Triple H himself once admitted the business was evolving. What mattered more was the performance, not how big you were. His words showed the cultural shift away from the steroid look. Number 10, Kurt Angle. Angle was never the biggest body in WWE, but during the mid-2000s he carried a noticeably bulked-up frame. Later, when he transitioned out of WWE and fought through injuries, fans saw a smaller, more worn-down version of him. Angle himself admitted, "I did what I thought I needed to do to compete, but it took years off my health." Without enhancements and with constant surgeries, his physique completely changed, leaving fans with a sobering reminder of how much punishment his body endured. Wrestling has always blurred the line between reality and performance, and these transformations prove how much of the spectacle came from more than just training and diet. Some wrestlers embraced the new looks and opened up about the dangers of steroids, while others faded into the shadows of their former physiques. What do you think? Should fans remember these wrestlers for their prime physiques, or respect them more for their honesty and survival after the spotlight? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wrestling stories explained.